Hello, my galactic nuggets. Tonight, I am completely fucking exhausted because I went from being a relatively early bird to having to work till 5:30 a.m. in the morning. And believe it or not, I find it quite difficult to sleep with the sun burning my eyes through my window, which I could never get blocked enough. It's like the sunlight is just like, I'm here to mess with you, motherfucker. So I am exhausted, cranky, bored, and on a sleeping schedule that's telling me to go to bed now, but also telling me not to. So what I'm going to do is dick around with my favorite artificial intelligence, talktotransformer.com, and plop in chunks from the Legend of the Galactic Heroes wiki into it, and see what happens. You see, Talk to Transformer has mainly been trained on articles found across the internet, normally editorials or news articles. And it picks up on words in whatever I give it, and it tries to basically finish the thought, finish the paragraph, make its own story, come up with its own shit. And let's see what it comes up with when I throw chunks of the Legend of Galactic Heroes wiki into it. And also, since I cannot read out loud for shit, I can barely narrate this video, I have my handy dandy read aloud to robotically reiterate whatever it pops up, and then I'll just react to the reading in a hopefully coherent manner.
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Jinga Iyo Densetsu, sometimes abbreviated as LOC or Jinaiden, in Japanese, is a series of science fiction novels written by Yoshiki Tanaka. In humanity's distant future, two interstellar states, the monarchic Galactic Empire and the Democratic Free Planets Alliance, are embroiled in a never-ending war. The story focuses on the exploits of rivals and allies of both states. The series was first published in Japan in 1984 and, by 1995, had been translated into English and published in American English under the title New Blood. As of June 2013, the text is currently
Maybe it's one of those crazy things where something will get localized and then get brought in again, but I don't remember coming across. I have a relatively robust knowledge of this fucking series at this point, but I don't remember the New Blood title cards anywhere. Okay, New Blood, I'm pretty sure that's a very ambiguous name, so it probably is the name of a shit ton of shit. But, like, now I'm just imagining New Blood, and it's Legend of the Galactic Heroes, except everyone's an angsty vampire, which, I mean, at least I'd say 10% of the cast. The only thing you'd have to change about that is giving them fangs. I mean, Reinhardt's already like a moody booty with long flowing hair. I mean, that's halfway to being a vampire just there. And you have Yang, who has a strong aversion to sunlight and just wants to sleep. That's pretty vampiric. Alright, let's see what else I can come up with. Let's see. Click. Okay, I like how I gave them almost like a giant paragraph compared to like this line the last time, and they gave me like a sentence. And now I put in a sentence, and they give me 2 paragraphs. Okay, let's see what we have here.
In AD 2801, the Galactic Federation is formed, which results in political power moving away from the planet Earth, now named Terra, and the Space Era calendar replacing the Gregorian calendar. With the other planets coming under Federation control, Earth becomes a Federation colony. Many at the time believed this was a temporary measure to save Earth, but from the 23rd century on, the Earth Foundation is a major political party. In the 23rd century, Earth is no longer an inhabited planet and has been abandoned by its inhabitants due to sustained radiation, as the Federation has begun reducing power over the entire planet in an effort to help with the Great Plague. It is Earth which serves as a launch pad for humans from throughout the Orion Arm for a series of space missions too.
Okay, let's back up there, fam. What the... so... Like, I guess there's like 100 years in a century. So, I guess, like, somewhere along the line, within this 100 years, Earth becomes a federation to the Federation, and a political party, but blows itself up with nukes, which causes them to have to, like, reduce the power over the entire planet. I'm pretty sure nuclear fallout would do that for you, fam. In an effort to stop the Great Space Plague, which I'm just going to assume is radioactive COVID-19. And somehow, in its irradiated COVID state, the Earth serves as a launch pad for humans to do missions to... Well, we'll never know, because the AI decided to stop typing. Oh, Christ. Let's see. Rudolph Adaptations Policies. Here we go. Rudolph adopts extremist policies until ... Oh wait, I need to put it in the thing first. Oh god. Oh god. I'm only half reading it. Oh god. Here we go.
Rudolph adopts extremist policies including the suppression of any opposition and the extermination of anyone perceived too weak, such as the disabled and those in poverty, which he carried out until his death in 1944. He carried out his Nazi policies with the aid of over 15,000 other loyal minions. He embraced the Catholic Nazi Party, and both Adolf Hitler and Joseph Goebbels showed a great interest in his life.
I'm just imagining, like, in almost World War II Europe, just, like, all the Catholic Nazis are sitting around in like a giant Nazi party, and Adolf Hitler's like, hey, I'm going to be the biggest prick this planet ever knew, and then Rudolph strolls up and just sits down and is like, hey, I'm going to take this bullshit to space with my 15,000 loyal minions. Oh... Okay, so real talk, I used to have a friend who had their parents watch Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and to mess with them, the dad would always refer to the Empire as the Space Nazis. So that adds an extra layer of hilariousness that this AI is just like, huh, this sounds like some Nazi shit. Alright, this sounds good.
A group of serfs in the Altair star system manage to escape captivity and make the long march of 10,000 light-years into the Sagittarius Arm to escape the Galactic Empire, which is located within the Orion Arm. These people set up the Free Planets Alliance, a democratic republic, using the space-era calendar, founding the alliance in SE 527/IC218/AD 3327 on the planet Sagittarius. Shortly after the galaxy-wide rebel uprising, the Alliance creates the Outer Rim Territories to enforce federal law, creating the Outer Rim Territories and the Outlands. The planet of Sloan takes place in the same solar system as Earth in the High Earth Federation. According to the Alliance Constitution, SL.
Nothing outrageous here, besides the fact that the idea of the word Outlands in space makes me think of back in the Burning Crusade in World of Warcraft. Okay, no, nothing too insane. I mean, it's hard to follow up on the Nazis. Normally, the more I feed it, the more it'll, like, the less I give it, the more it will give back.
Ruled by a domain lord called the Landsheer, Pheasant gains power by acting as both paragon and trickster, providing the only magical power on his lands. He also practices the art of illusion to further his influence on the populace. When Pheasant returns home to Leon, the peasants toil in their fields while offering their work to Pheasant in exchange for a share of the bounty which he plans to give each year.
What?
He is assisted in this effort by his wife, a witch called the Witch of the Woods. The peasantry are led by their king, a holy man called the Sage of the Plains. Pheasant rules the land of Leon with the blood.
Okay. I love how this planet has basically become like some dick wizard who's like, give me some of your plants and your grain, peasants, and has a witch wife that lives out in the woods, and somehow there's like a king who's the sage and the... Okay, we hopped genres, man. We were science fiction a minute ago. The sun rolls the land of Leon with the blood. I want this right here. I want this embroidered into a pillow. Put that on Etsy. Like the bots that roam Twitter and like any piece of like remotely good artwork will end up on like Redbubble or something. Just feed them this. Let's see. Let me find a good one. Okay, every time I deeply exhale, I'm trying not to read this until I have my little robot minion read it out loud to me, but I keep picking out words out of the corner of my eye. Here we go.
He is driven by the desire to free his sister Anne Rose, who was taken by the Kaiser as a concubine. Later, he wants not only to end the corrupt Golden Bomb dynasty but also to defeat the Free Planets Alliance and to unify the whole galaxy under his rule. His ultimate goal is to unite the galaxy under his ideals and force the Alliance to kneel before the Death Star. That can only be done by destroying the Death Star with the super weapon he built on the moon, which will end the Alliance, with its allied planets, in a raging battle in the Atmosphere 3. In Squadron X, Vader's dad Han Solo served as a member of Rogue Squadron, and was killed by Imperial troops. Appearances.
Okay. We're crossing the beams again. The Legend of the Galactic Star Wars fanfiction is being written by the AIs again. So let's unpack this. So Reinhard is going to make the Alliance bow before the Death Star by blowing the shit out of the Death Star with a super weapon he built on the moon. Which is, I could just imagine Reinhard being like, haha, behold my super weapon. And behold as I destroy the super weapon with my other super weapon. And then, Darth Vader's dad is apparently Han Solo, which raises some questions considering spoilers in case you don't know who Han ends up with, would mean he is a grandfather. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Okay, this seems like a good chunk.
In the Free Planets Alliance Starfleet is another genius, Yang Wenli. He originally aspired to become a historian through a military academy, and joined the tactical division only out of need for tuition money. He was rapidly promoted to an admiral because he demonstrated his outstanding skill in tactics and strategizing. His skill as a tactician allowed him to make the right decisions when putting a big time trap to the rebels. Once the Alliance and the Galactic Empire were engaged in a dogfight in the jungles of Yavin 4, Yang Wenli's tactical genius allowed him to fool the Imperials into engaging in suicidal blunders, and using the ensuing chaos to bring the fight to the surface and smash the Empire. In less than an hour of fighting.
Okay, so I like how the more I'm feeding into the AI, it's starting to pick up on words like the Galactic Empire. That is really fascinating. I wasn't intending for it to be able to for it to have into the program, it to take in and add to everything going on behind the scenes, take in what I'm putting in. I figured it would have like a completely isolated base from user input. Hopefully that's not exploitable whatsoever. Let's see. I also engaged in a dogfight in the jungles of Yavin 4. Okay, so I know dogfights are typically like fighter planes, pew pew pew, but can't you just imagine like Rambo Yang Wenli just fighting in a motherfucking jungle? Oh man, I wish it didn't cut out in less than hours of fighting. Man, I wonder what would happen if I just took this and threw it back in there and just let it continue whatever insane story it was telling. forgive me. We'll never know what happened in less than an hour of fighting in the jungles of Yavin 4. What will Yang Rambo Winley do? Let's see. Oh man, this is gonna be a good one. There's a slight problem on this. That is, I have no clue what that is. I mean, I know it looks...
In the Free Planets
We've had your chance.
As a historian, Yang often predicts the motives behind his enemies and narrates the rich history of his world and comments on it. One of his famous quotes is, "Gives the virtue to research, reflecting the traditional attitude toward insight as one of the main spirit of the art. Because researchers, knowing the limitations of their own minds and the fact that true knowledge can only be achieved by applying oneself to the things themselves, have no alternatives but to attack and to aggressively explain their opinions. To define and analyze the beliefs of others," Yang quotes the great mathematician of the 7th century, mathematician Pi, 717-7.
Okay, so one, I have no clue what this means because I barely understand English. Copy, Google Translate. I imagine it's probably just word salad.
Bao Hu Jing Jing, non-white clouds, Bao Hu.
That sounds... Non-white clouds. Oh, that solves that mystery, makes complete sense. Like I said, it seemed to just be word salad. Let's see, like, I love how it just goes, like, straight into, like, man, the main spirit of the art, researchers knowing the limitation of their own minds, true knowledge can be achieved by applying oneself to the things of themselves, no alternative. Have no alternative but to attack and aggressively explain their opinions. Like, are we dealing with space warfare or space Jehovah's Witnesses? Alright, let's move on.
There is also a terrorism cult, which claims that humans should go back to Earth, gaining popularity throughout the galaxy. Throughout the story, executive political figures of Fezzen, in concert with the upper hierarchy of the terrorism cult, orchestrate a number of conspiracies to shift the tide of the conflict to their favor. The deceit and scheming pervade the rest of the storyline and influences the backdrop of the science fiction world we inhabit in both the Beta 3.0 release and the final release. There is also the visage of insanity, a powerful warrior who has discovered he has been telepathically controlling the bodies of the senators since he reached adulthood. Whether it is due to the powers granted to him by his
Okay, I'm breathing again. The deceit and scheming. Beta 13 to the final release is interesting because it kind of makes it feel like a video game. But I have no clue. Okay, so everything, like, from what I fed into it to Beta 3 and final release, that kind of vibes. Like, it's word salad, but it kind of vibes with what's going on, because the Terra Church is in the background being a scheming bitch throughout the entire series. But then you jump to the Vigilance of Insanity, a powerful warrior who has been telepathically controlling the bomb. Oh lord, it's like one of those things where it's kind of like, I wish you could like go into more detail about what the fuck that's about, fam. That would be a very, very different anime if we had that going in there. Also, like, only telepathically controlling the bodies, does that mean, like, their brains are perfectly fine and it's just like, hey, yeah, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but my hand keeps picking up this coffee mug and hitting me in the face with it because I guess I'm a shitty politician. Let's see. I want to get at least one more good thing picked out here, since I'm not quite ready to stop. Okay, we'll go with this one and see what it gives me. I don't think it'll have enough to have a coherent... This small sentence could honestly take it anywhere, but this should be a good note to end on, hopefully.
Christopher Ferris of the Anime News Network wrote that the novels focus on the abduction and kidnapping of children and explains that the shows are intended to evoke the emotions of those children who live through those experiences. The author goes on to say that the violence contained in the series are meant to be high comedy, with a touch of slapstick, and that the expressions in the characters are whimsical, impressionistic, and inspired by childhood.
What? That 11 flavors are just terrible. Oh, well, that's a good place to end this one on the whimsical recountings of the kidnapping of children through the perspective of a whimsical kidnapped child. Join me next time if I decide to continue making this out of some, I don't know, intense need to procrastinate, since I should be working on my final projects instead of doing this. But, have a good evening, everyone, and remember to sleep.